Alright, my challenge out there to the people is for people that practice Wing Chun or that claim Wing Chun my challenge is to create something better than Wing Chun. I think that makes something more authentic. I was reading a book, Dao Ji Kundo, just the beginning part, and then I finally found out exactly around how old the Wing Chun system is, and the book said around about 400 years old. And my thing is, it's hard to keep something authentic when so many years have passed. And I think that something that's really authentic is something that's in the moment, like living, breathing, present. If you think about how long he's died, how long has it been since he's died? It's like over 40 years. And think about in those 40 years how much this world has changed. In just 40 years, 40, 50 years, how many things have changed as far as technology is concerned and everything. So compare 50 years and all these changes, compare that to 400 years, over 400 years. It's like you're telling me that you can't make something better? And Bruce Lee himself made something much better. And he created a new label, a new way that was authentic to him. It takes a lot of courage to do that. And he had to turn against the entire Wing Chun community, turn against his own teacher, and then he created his own way. He called it Jun Fan Kung Fu, and then eventually called it Jeet Kune Do, and then eventually he just called it nothing. Just refused to label it. He said no style, no way, using no way as way. Didn't even want to use the Jeet Kune Do label. But whatever he created, whatever you label it, it was way beyond Wing Chun. And that's my challenge to the people that practice Wing Chun. Create something better. And once you create something better, you can't use the same name anymore. You gotta change it because it's something different. So if you look at any businesses out there that have become very successful, they create something and they try to make it better than their competitors. And then they got to relabel it. They can't label it the same thing. So McDonald's obviously has been very successful through these years. But then you got startup companies like something like Potbellies. They think about McDonald's, you know what, we got to do something. We got to make something better than them. We got to change it up. We're going to have sandwiches. We're not going to have fries. We're going to have chips. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And we're not going to label it McDonald's. We'll call it Potbellies. Same thing with Jimmy John's. They look at Potbellies. They look at McDonald's like we got to create something different, something better. They create something, an idea. They go with it, and they call it something else. They call it Jimmy John's. Subway, same thing. Look at McDonald's, how the money they're making. Okay, we got to create something better. All right, what are we going to call it? Okay, we're going to call it Subway. You see, that's how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to get an idea from somewhere and then find a way to make it better. Then relabel it. Label it something else authentic to you. And then now you have your own way, your own expression. Now, not everybody's going to do that. Not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody's meant to be a leader. Some people are just built to be followers for their entire lives. That's fine. Okay, that's fine. But to me, at least be an authentic follower. Like under a real leader. like through something that's living. You know what I mean? Like, look at the businesses again. It's like, if you are an employee of McDonald's, okay, McDonald's is existing. You're working there. You're actually following the leadership of the CEO of McDonald's, and you're making money and you're promoting that way, that business. Same thing with Jimmy John's. You're an employee there. You didn't create Jimmy John's, but you're an employee there. You're following the CEO, and you're pretty much promoting that company. That's fine. But what doesn't make sense to me is like a company that has gone out of business way long ago, and then you're still claiming that company. That doesn't exist. That already went out of business. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, for example, some businesses that just recently went out of business would be like Bally's Total Fitness and like Dominic's. They don't exist anymore. So then why would people claim themselves to be employees there when the business doesn't even exist anymore? You know, and that to me is like the martial arts. It's like you got styles that were created over 400 years ago, like Wing Chun, created in China over 400 years ago, and then all of a sudden, for some magical reason, it's reappeared to exist here in America. That to me doesn't make sense. Like, over 400 years later, all of a sudden the Wing Chun system exists in America. That really doesn't make sense to me. Like, this corruption all over to me. Because if there's no founder that's there to regulate what is authentic and what's not authentic, then how can it be possible that a system can be pure and uncorrupted? How is it possible? Because all it takes is just Hollywood creating a movie like Yip Man, and then all of a sudden everybody's all hyped up about the movie, and now they want to learn Wing Chun, and then just some average person out there that doesn't know anything about martial arts just opens up a school because he has money, and then calls it a Wing Chun school, and then all of a sudden he's teaching Wing Chun because everybody's so geeked up about it because they saw the movie Yip Man. And that to me, it's just all marketing. It's just all people trying to make money off of what's popular. And that's not authentic to me. Something that's authentic is just something that somebody created, like they're the actual creator. And it's not easy to create something and then go against these big businesses and these corporations. You know, chances are you're gonna get crushed. You know what I mean? When you got these big corporations like Planet Fitness, Export, you know what I mean? Like Anytime Fitness, like these big name businesses, and then you open up your own gym against these huge corporations. To survive is not easy. It's not. But at least it's original to you. And then you gave it a try, and then you see what you could do. But I think that's what the martial arts needs. It needs originality. You know, it needs for people to stop hiding behind styles and labels of which they didn't create. And not only did they not create it, but it's not even authentic. It's not even real because there's nobody there to there's no one there to regulate anything. Everything is just completely deceptive, false. And I don't think it should be that way. I think that people should just be more true. Like I would respect like a martial arts school owner who just uses his own name, be like, this is my martial art, whatever the name is. And be like, whatever the name is. John Smith, martial arts. And then people be like, what am I learning? Well, you're learning my expression in the martial arts is what you learn. Like, I would respect that. Like, what I don't respect is, for example, when there's people out there that are trying to teach Jeet Kune Do and say, hey, this is a Jeet Kune Do school. But then it's like, how could that be? Like, Jeet Kune Do was created by Bruce Lee, and he's been dead over 40 years ago. How can this be a Jeet Kune Do school? They're hiding behind somebody's name, and they had nothing to do with the creation. And they never even received permission from the creator to pass on that name, to open up that school. I don't respect that. Even if they are talented, I still don't respect that, because it's like, if you're so talented, why did you have to take somebody else's name, somebody else's label? Like, why can't you just use your own? It's like, to me, it's like into this. It's like Michael Jordan's a great basketball player, and then somebody else is talented as well. Say LeBron James is talented, Kobe Bryant was talented, but then they're like, no, don't call me LeBron James, call me Michael Jordan. But then that's not even your name. It's like, why? Okay, you're talented, you're good, you're great, you're good like Michael Jordan, but why should we call you Michael Jordan when your name's LeBron James? It's like, don't use somebody else's name of which you don't own. I don't care how talented you are. Don't steal somebody else's name. And that's the thing that I don't respect out there in the martial arts, is a bunch of people claiming styles and all this other stuff of which they didn't create, and then they have no connection with the creator. If you have a connection with the creator, that's something different. That's just like what I was talking about with working for Walmart or something. Like, you're employed in Walmart, they hired you, you're a legit employee, and you're promoting that company. That makes sense. You know what I'm saying? But what doesn't make sense is when you open up your own store and then you call it Walmart, and then you claim in Walmart, and then you didn't get any permission from Walmart to do that, and then you're pretty much violating some type of law, and then eventually you're just going to get shut. You wouldn't even be allowed to even open your business to begin with, because you can't use the label of something that you did not create and you don't own, and somebody else has taken that label already. So then it's like, what I don't like with the martial arts is everybody's walking around saying, oh, I practice Wing Chun, I practice Taekwondo, I practice Aikido, I practice this, I practice that. But this, like, who gave you permission to say that you are representing that? It's because, like, anybody could wake up tomorrow and say that, oh, I practice Tai Chi, or I practice Wing Chun, I practice Aikido, I practice Chole Fut. Like, how can anybody stop anybody from doing that? And because there's no regulations, to me, it just doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. But if you say that, hey, I practice my own way of the martial arts, like, this is what I practice my own way. Like, I practice martial arts. Nobody can stop you from saying I practice martial arts, because that's like a general term. That's like saying I practice basketball, I practice tennis, But when you say something like, oh, I practice Wing Chun, now it's like, okay, like, who said that you practice that? Who said that you're representing that? That's the way that I see it, Like, I like to think about it just like the companies, like different companies. Walmart, Target, Kmart, Sears. Okay, you got these different companies created by CEOs. So each company to me is like a style. Okay, you got Wing Chun, you got Chole Fut, you got Tai Chi. Okay, Jeet Kune Do. These are all different, like, they're different companies. And then the CEO is like the Sifu, the CEO of Walmart, okay, the CEO of Wing Chun. CEO or like the Sifu of Wing Chun, and then the CEO of like Apple is like the Sifu of like Jeet Kune Do. I mean, it's like in order for it to be authentic, there has to be like a leader that is authentic. If the leader is not authentic, then the whole structure is not authentic. It's all false. And so you start from something that's false. How could it lead to truth? It's just gonna be a virus of deception from the very beginning. Like the whole foundation is just corrupted. And then everybody's making money off of this corruption. It's like you got one false leader of Wing Chun that opens up a school, and then he creates more false leaders that open up other schools, and then he just keeps opening up more and more schools of all these false leaders that are misrepresenting something that they didn't even create, and then they didn't even receive permission to expand. You know, because to expand a school, to me, is similar to a business that franchises. So you need permission in order to franchise. So you can't just, be like, oh, I'm just going to open up a Potbelly's on my own. It's like you need to, like, get permission from the company to franchise out their brand into another location. You can't just open up your own Walmart without their permission, or your own McDonald's. Like, you need to get permission from the leadership of that company, the board or whatever, in order to franchise out that brand. And that's how the martial arts is supposed to go as well, if it's gonna be like authentic. That's what makes sense to me. It just doesn't make sense that Wing Chun was the way of Wing Chun is created over 400 years ago in China, and then all of a sudden in 2016 there's Wing Chun schools all over America. That doesn't make sense to me. It just really doesn't make sense to me. Like, I'm just dumbfounded, Because it's like all a person has to do is be like, find some random Chinese person that doesn't even speak English. Oh, that's my master. And this is Wing Chun. This is our school. And that Chinese person that doesn't speak English, that's my Sifu. Even though he doesn't know he doesn't even know anything, can't do anything. He's just an old Chinese guy. Oh, that's my Sifu, and then I'm running this school. This is Wing Chun. It's like, that to me is what's going on. And it's very aggravating, because it's not just Wing Chun, it'll be something like Tai Chi too. It's like, oh, I teach Tai Chi. I've been doing it for 50 years. And that old Chinese guy right there that can't speak English, oh, that's my master. And you're learning Tai Chi. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. And the more that I see that, the more aggravating it gets, because it's just like, this is just so wrong. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so wrong. But if you got somebody that loves martial arts, he's been practicing martial arts for 20 years, 30 years, and he creates his own martial art school under his own name, that makes sense to me. Or it doesn't have to be his name. It could be like, this is like Tiger Claw Martial Arts, or whatever. And as long as the city says nobody used that combination of, title before, so you're authorized to use Tiger Claw Martial Art as your business name, then that's fine. That's authentic to the creator of whoever created Tiger Claw Martial Arts. You know what I mean? But then, of course, people don't want to do that, because it's so hard to market something that people don't know about because there's no movies coming out about Tiger Claw martial arts. People are like, what is that? But then there's a Yip Man movie coming out talking about Wing Chun. Then you got the Bruce Lee movies, got the Jackie Chan movies, Jet Li movies. You got the UFC, so then people just throw up MMA on the window to learn MMA. It's like everything's being marketed, and then people just want to go with where the market is rather than being authentic. Because being authentic is hard to survive, because who wants to learn Tiger Claw martial arts? Like, what is that? So people have motivations, they have incentives to not be themselves, to not create their own. Because it's hard to survive by yourself. But that is, to me, the only authentic way to do it. I mean, that's just my opinion. And I'm basing it off of the way business regulations are, in America. And these regulations are there for a reason. And I understand that martial art is supposed to be an art and it's not supposed to be so regulated. But to me, it's a serious problem when it comes to when you create something and it just gets stolen by other people that have nothing to do with your creation. That to me is very disrespectful to art. And when you are an artist, it only makes sense to protect your creations, because the more people that steal your creations, like, the less value your art has. I mean, people work so hard to create something, and then people just steal it in a matter of seconds. It's just not fair. Like, even Bruce Lee is like, when he was living, he shut down all 3 of his schools. He went into acting. He didn't even publish any books. But he spent so much of his life studying the martial arts, over 20 years, and then he put some stuff in writing. And then he passes away unexpectedly. And then now, when he was living, he was charging like $250 per hour, like, for a private lesson. And nowadays, that's probably $5,000 an hour. To convert the money from $250 to whatever, due to inflation, how much that's converted to now. I mean, he was charging a lot of money for his expertise. But then he passes away. And then, without his permission, because he's already dead, his teachings get published, mass distributed to people out there, to everybody. And the book is priced at $15. So then you get like 20 years of research, 20 plus years of research for $20 or $15. It's like having Vincent van Gogh's painting that's worth like $10 million, and then you sell it for $10. You know what I'm saying? Like, art shouldn't be treated like that, where it's just completely mass exploited. And then the money obviously can't go to Bruce Lee because he's already dead. So then everybody that was a part of his life gets to make money off of his creations. Everybody makes money except for the creator. That, to me, that's wrong. And that's the same thing that happened to Vincent van Gogh. Like, he didn't sell one painting when he was living. Then he passes away. Now his paintings are being sold for like millions of dollars. And nobody created this, but they're making money off of it. And I see a lot of artists that fall into that, where it's like, they created something and then they don't make any money off of it. Everybody else is making money off of their creations. You know, and then another thing that's sad to me, because I just saw the article today, is Bruce Lee pretty much died with like almost like pretty much almost poor. Like when he went into acting, he didn't have that much money. He wasn't that successful, and he even had to have like Linda Lee start working to try to pay the bills. And he only became famous after he died. And then who got rich? Like his wife, his daughter, his son, Danny Insano, you know, John Little, you know, everybody that was involved in his life gets rich except for him. And then I read an article today saying like Jackie Chan is like the #2 richest actor out there. First is like Dwayne Johnson, #2 is Jackie Chan. He's like saying something about like raking in like probably like over $55 million a year, something like that. And it's like, in my opinion, Jackie Chan is not representing the real martial arts. Not at all. But then he's like the second richest actor. That to me is just crazy. And then Bruce Lee dies poor. Bruce Lee dies young and he dies poor, and he's representing the real martial arts. And you got somebody who's just a comedian, almost like Jack Black for the Chinese, multi-millionaire off of the exploitation of the martial arts, turning martial arts into a comedy. And then he gets to live long, he gets to have all his money. To me, it's just something off. Because I can see the same example with like Tupac representing hip-hop, dying young. And then you got other people who are not representing, other rappers like Jay-Z or Kanye West, like super duper rich. And then whatever they're rapping about is just nonsense. It's just not even like, there's no meaning behind it. There's nothing there. That to me is upsetting. But I just see a lot of people, you know, using other people to get rich. And that's essentially what's going on with this whole style thing. And then there's just oversaturated, the market is oversaturated with corruption. And then the people that are real and original just get lost in it. All of it. But I just want people to be a little bit intelligent, you know, just to think. Like, think about how the businesses are run and regulated, and then apply those same concepts to the martial arts in order to decipher between the true and the false. And my thing is about learning something that's true, not false. That eventually will lead you to become true to yourself. And ultimately, that's what the martial arts is supposed to lead you towards. Gaining that courage to be true to yourself.